Hey everyone, welcome to What's Happening in Real Estate this week. I've got Conrad Zerini here with Remax Escarpment and Remax Niagara, broker owner. And we got Brian Hogman, Mission, 35 Mortgages, and myself, Rob Golfi with Remax, the Golfi Team. Guys, big news this week,
Yeah.
50 basis points. You know what? I think they realize your buddy Tiff there, Brian, is it? I like the way you call him. It's like you guys are best buddies. I don't
It's a
know.
love-hate relationship, me and
Yeah,
Tiff,
but did you expect 50 basis points?
I'll tell you, last week I called out a
Yeah.
quarter. I did call the quarter, but I will say when that unemployment number came out on Friday,
Game
when that
changer.
number came out, I was like, oh, geez, it's going to be a half banger for sure. Because that is
Do you
way
think we're too
higher.
late on this? Do you think we're too late on this? Like like they're dropping it now. Now they realize they got to fucking move fast on this thing.
Well,
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what's
there's no question. Mhm.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is that the rates are dropping at the exact same pace that they rose. I did a little calculation right now, and it took 16 months to go up 4.75%, which was on average 0.29% per month. We've just dropped 1.75 over 6 months, which is 0.29% per month right now. That we're dropping at, I don't think it's going to continue on that pace. And I don't think people should be holding their breath. That's my fear, is that people are holding their breath waiting for more rate drops, right?
Yeah.
I think the end is
we will
near.
see more. Sorry,
We'll see. I think I love that he went big, and again, he went against conventional wisdom because what do they always say? They go slower on the way down, completely out of conventional wisdom. But you got to give, and his name is Tiffany, so you got to say that poor guy growing up, Tiff. I feel bad for the guy growing up, so he had to do something to get that, to be the king of the castle again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will say this: they got to see some numbers. There's some year-end numbers that they haven't even told us, and that have come in. There's a lot of numbers that come in now, and I think they really got spooked. So yeah, you got to, that the deputy governor, you got to watch her and what she says. She's pretty. Yeah, I tell you, she's the brains behind that whole operation. I've seen her speak several times. I've seen her speak in Q1. The numbers they see now are pretty scary. They must have seen renovation numbers and obviously construction. All those contracts are over, and people are hungry. So it's a whole different animal. So they had to do something pretty seismic. And I like how they say it wasn't, the uncertainty of Trump, but I'm doing my video later on today. I'm going to say who's the real Santa Claus? Is it Tiff? Is it Trump? Or is it Trudeau? Who's the real Santa, right? I want to know, because they gave the Canadian home buyer a gift, an early Christmas gift, for sure, right?
Yeah. Well, when you look at it, when you look at the numbers too, it's not small. It's huge. When you go back, it is now for a first-time home buyer buying $700,000 home with the new mortgage rule that comes out on the 15th.
Yep.
You're saving $1,000 a month now. $1,000.
That's a big difference.
That is huge. So if you bought at the peak 7.2% when Bank Prime was there at 700 grand, you're like $4,400. You're down to $3,400 on a monthly payment now with that new 30-year in. That's big.
So first time buyer, Brian, first time buyer, 30-year amortization, resale or new, either way, right?
Yep.
Okay, yep. Resale or new.
Yep.
5-year term. What's the interest rate right now?
So you can end up getting a 4.19 on a 5-year fixed, right? Or you can get and there might be some wiggle room there, but on the variable you're looking at, so it'll be 5.45 minus 1. So you're looking at almost 4.45% on a variable rate. So you're
things are getting better. Yeah.
100%.
And you said the saving. You said this $1,000 savings is how much was the mortgage amount?
Mortgage amount. I did a $700,000 purchase price with $45,000 down. So a $680,000 mortgage. You're saving
huge. So what a difference a day makes. It's $1,000. What a difference a day makes. $1,000 on a $750,000 mortgage.
Well, that's a cumulative over all the rate drops, right? But that's and you know what? The other thing too, which is interesting, everybody's talking about the condo surplus market. we're not far off now from people cash flowing again. Like
Yep.
if you held on this long and you held a condo, because I was looking at some of my shitty investments which I made over the past couple of years, okay, but I was bleeding on one. Rental income was $1,800 a month. The variable rate at 7.2 was $2,150. Now where the rate's going to now, I'm breaking even, right? Because it's saved $400 a month. So now, if for other investors out there that were like, I just held on enough, I don't think you're going to see those people end up putting them on the market now, because if it goes down another half, January, February, all of a sudden I went from bleeding to breaking even, making $1,500 a month. So will that condo market be a gluttonous? I think there still will be some, but there's going to be some people now that will be able to hold on to them.
Yeah, a little longer. Yeah, and maybe for the next turn. Big news in the condo market. They tried to sell that one project and they couldn't sell it, so the receiver appointed Tridel to construction manage. So they're actually the receiver is gonna build it. Can you imagine? Yeah,
You're talking about the big one on one.
Sam Mesra's project. Yeah, one.
That's $1 billion.
Yeah, nobody bought it. So now the receiver is appointed Tridel to build it out, and Tridel's going to make a fee, and then they're going to finish it and sell the units. So that's an interesting thing right there, right? So a lot of stuff going on in the condo market, a lot of good stuff.
No
right?
shit.
Yeah.
Now, I was reading earlier this month. You probably read this in the Spectator about the all the condo projects that are in. Do you like we're talking 20-year plan for that? Don't you think, Conrad?
At least.
We're not like Toronto. The population is not growing that much that everybody wants a condo. People want detached, semi-detached, and townhouses, and they're not building enough of those right now, are they?
Well, no, it's a great point you bring up, because now, like, all the wild card, and if you read the speech of Tiff, he talks about the immigration piece rolling back, right? So a lot of that downtown stuff in Hamilton was immigration, and then it's now the universities now, foreign students bought some of that stuff downtown, right, to be close to Mac and what have you. So now that's gone. So they've taken a lot of wind. The federal government's taking a lot of wind out of the sails of new construction and micro condos and things like that. So yeah, you're talking 20 years. That whole piece has to stabilize. And the immigration's been that wild card propping everything up. So now it's no longer there. They've drastically reduced immigration. So they usually flock to those kind of units. But yeah, you're right, Rob. Absolutely, 20 years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was reading about the guys that bought the Eaton Center. They're losing millions of dollars just hanging on to that property and with everything. So they may end up unloading that and just take their losses and run.
Well, yeah, like when you think of like the one, which was like 85 story, the tallest condo building, so much hype. He started it back, I think, in 2015, I think, or something, 2016. Anyway, like there's so much hype in and around that didn't get any buyers. So like Hamilton is much a secondary or tertiary market. So, it starts in Toronto, and if Toronto doesn't build that whole thing up, it's going to be a long haul. And actually, the Connolly was sold again, and they have gone in receivership. The old that church on James
Street there.
Yeah,
right
so
the
second time. It went in receivership again, so it's been sold so many times, and that was the fastest project to go from concept to actual approval. They did it in 120 days, and can you imagine 120 days, fastest project to ever get approved, and it's been 10 years, and it's gone bankrupt twice.
No kidding. That I don't think that who owns that? The banks own that now.
Yeah, it's back. Yeah, back in the banks.
They're going to own that for a long time now. The banks are they're going to lose huge on that. Like now,
there's no market. There's no market.
I would be scared if I'm a developer. I would be scared to start a project in downtown Hamilton right now, because I mean, like what Leuna had the one on King William, and they didn't sell those, right?
It's rental. That's a rental project.
Rental unit.
But it's a slow go.
They rented out one tower, from my understanding, and then when they went to the second tower, they had to drop prices. So then they had a little bit of internal conflict, because you had people in Tower 1 saying, hey, I just rented this for $200 a month more, and now you're advertising for less, right? So
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see, how are the sales going on 75 James? That's that's like the one in Hamilton, right?
Well, I read that there were 50% sold. Do you believe that bullshit?
Well, they were, like, I always subscribe to the mailing list, and I always wonder.
No comment.
I just wonder when they're offering a free trip to Las Vegas, or like they're offering amazing incentives. I'm like,
no shit. I know. Conrad's
I'm
friends
going
with
to
all
Vegas
these developers. He can't
Well,
say too much.
It reminds me of the 90s, like in 89 and 90s when the market shifted and there was a project by the lake and they were giving boats away and boat slips and things like that. Yeah. The company was called Landford. They've since gone bankrupt. But anyway, that was.
I
But
remember that.
Yeah, it's so
That was a
reminiscent
new
of that.
concept that they brought into Stony Creek with over there, and but back then they were selling for over 400 grand.
Yes, and it's funny. Yeah. And there's a couple lawyers that bought into it. And what happened was it was interesting because they shifted exactly what you're saying, Brian, too. Like one week it was this, and then the next week it was that. So all those buyers did a class action suit against a developer, and they ended up getting some of their money back. But yeah, it's true. They sued the developer. That one day was one price, and the next day was they dropped it significantly. They sued and won. It took a while, but they did. So again, interesting. It's some interesting similarities that are coming out from that time.
It took those people that bought originally over 20 years before they actually their house value came to the point where what they paid for.
Yeah,
I think.
and you're right. It was $499, and then they dropped to $399 like a day later.
And that was a lot of money back then. That was
huge amount of money.
Yeah.
A townhouse, Rob? You were buying a regular townhouse for like $1.25. 99,000 you were buying a townhouse back then. But ironically now, if you're looking at and I was just with a developer right now doing the townhouse is a new single family now. The upper end townhouse. And that's what's kind of taking off. Those larger scale townhomes. You can't afford to buy a house. You're going to save a little money because it's attached. So that's a new market right now, and that consumers are flocking to, and builders are starting to do. So it's interesting.
Yeah, well, they're easier to maintain. You don't have a big property, and the new generation coming up, they don't really care to take care of too much property. Lifestyle is more important for them, travel and doing stuff. So the less they have to handle, the better. But yeah, no, I mean, and even the seniors now, they're looking at townhouses because less work. So you got two generationals looking for the same product, and that's what's driving the market for that.
We also had a client, a millennial, that was purchasing a townhouse that put an in-law in the basement. Right, so you end up getting in more affordable. You get a little additional income in there as well too. It's a great house hack.
Wow. Yeah. So what else is going on, guys? Canada Post is still on strike. I bet you those postal guys didn't expect that coming. This is the longest strike they've had.
Well,
and and Canada Post, you know what they're saying? Too bad, guys. You want to go on strike? We don't care anymore. And it's going to go into the new year.
People finding alternatives now, right? Like I think people are that's what happens. People find another way, I think. So
it reminds me of the when Reagan and the air traffic controllers strike.
Oh yeah,
and then he fired them all. So I'm thinking so Canada Post has been hemorrhaging so much money. I think now you're going to see. I think they said, look, let's let this out to the market. Let's get some private people, new concepts coming up in terms of that, and then we can now shed maybe 25 or 30% of the workforce. So you know what they didn't.
They rolled the dice and they're going to pay for it. They're going to pay for it.
Very risky. Yeah.
The union, you know what it is? They think they got power to a certain degree, but when a company is on its knees already, you can't give in to those guys. And now you think those guys picketing on the outside the post office, I see them on Millen Road there, driving by. And you know what? They don't realize half of those guys. You're right. They're going to be out of a job.
Yeah, I think this was almost like it was almost tactical. This is the best way a crown corporation or semi-crown corporation, whatever you want to call it, could shed 25 or 20 or 30% of their employees. Yeah.
Well, they're thinking of actually having delivery every other day.
Yes. Yeah.
So that means they get rid of half of their
Yes.
postal guys. So you know what I mean? So they
And what's
oh
ironic
shit.
is in the U.S. it's like 6 days for sure. Like the U.S. Postal Service, they deliver on Saturdays, and look at us. I tell
Oh
you, we're
my
gonna be
god.
that. We're gonna be like the Arkansas of the U.S. when we
Oh
become
no.
that
Well,
51st
well, unless
state.
we become the next state, right?
Yeah, the
Unless
Well,
Canada
51st state.
becomes the
Yeah.
next state. So
well, they're comparing to Mexico. Mexico said, "Yeah, you want to go on strike? Okay," and they let them sit there for a long time. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a boiling point. You know what I mean? It comes to
yeah.
an end, right? Yeah.
anyway, guys, listen. Thanks so much, and happy holidays. Next week, we're gonna try to do it together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're getting festive.
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right, guys. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Ciao.